So this is the Never Summer Cobra, 2016 158. It has been a board in that all of us here at the Good Ride have really liked for a long time, and you know, as you can see, it's got a bit of a directional thing going for it. Not super directional, but pretty directional. And you know, you can see, but the tip and tail are the same width. You can see that the tail's a little different than the tip. You know, the tail's made to sink a little bit better in powder and float a little bit better, but it's still almost like twinish when you talk about its directional feel. It's got a setback stance. You know, this is kind of similar to the Proto, except for one thing. You know, it's a little more directional. It's got a setback stance, so that's why we call this all mountain, and we call the Proto all mountain freestyle, because the Proto is just a twin with a centered stance. So what we like about the Cobra is you can center up and you know, on groomers, and take a much more all mountain freestyle approach to the mountain and the park. But then when those powder days come and you want to get out and get surfy, it can kind of double as a free ride board, and it can you can set it back a bit, and as you can see off the tail, you've got a good bit of float. I really like the float of this, and you know, this nose and tail, I've been out in like 2-3 feet of thick Sierra cement, and this floated like a champ over it. And so, you know, for me, I can set back 23 like this, and 22.5 like this. And if I'm, you know, riding certain types of bindings, I can just turn them sideways and set it back a little bit, so I get almost 23, which is great for me, and it's very surfy and fun. And then you know, just slide it forward, and I can get almost centered on this. One of the only things, probably one of my only complaints with the Cobra is in harder snow, it can get a little more unstable. It can kind of want to like auto spin on you in flats and one footing off the chair, long flat cat tracks. It's just kind of like, it's just not as fun as the ripsaw camber profile boards like the Never Summer West, or like, you know, the Fun Slinger or the ripsaw. Those boards have a much more stable feel between the feet, one footing, and going flat basing down long cat tracks and stuff like that. That are, you know, flat conditions. That's a little better. Also, when it comes to turning, you know, these are my feet, these are my knees. You really have to get your knees out a little bit and really get some pressure over this camber to engage. It can get a little washy on wider radius to carving turns, but it's still very doable and fun, but it's just not as fun as the ripsaw profile. So if, you know, if that's your jam, then you know, making big wide carving turns is what you're all about, then you really want to get out and go with a more, you know, with a camber profile that is a little more augmented, like the ripsaw camber profile with those boards. So you know, a lot of people are asking me this versus the West, and that's basically your answer. If you really like to carve and you like a little more stability, you know, that's closer to more like hybrid camber, then you want the augmented camber of the hybrid rocker West. If you're more looking for like something that can act a little bit like the Proto on groomers, and then, you know, act a little bit more free ridey, surfy in powder and directional, then this is probably the better one. If you're living more for powder, this is probably better. But if you're living for carving groomers and better stability and speed, then it's pretty much all about this. So that's the Never Summer Cobra. Just very versatile board that's, you know, that just can ride really well in a lot of conditions, and really make a lot of people happy. Really just all in all fun board, really good play off the tip and tail. When you're buttering and stuff, that camber's kind of fun at the end it comes into play and helps you get a little more spring when you're playing around. So all in all, Never Summer Cobra, just been a favorite for many years, and although it has some shortcomings, it's still an amazing board.